Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of the Computer Business Marketing Show. Our show today is brought to you by Tech Site Builder. Tech Site Builder is a hosted website builder that allows you to quickly and easily get a clean and professional website up and running for your computer or tech-focused business. Save time and frustration with Tech Site Builder. Learn more at techsitebuilder.com. Today we have Stuart Crawford from Ulistic on the show to talk about how to leverage your competition to benefit your business. We'll learn why it's better to work with your competition, which is something Stuart calls Co-op-etition. We'll also hear a story about fellow computer business owners' success with the Chamber of Commerce mixers, and also how do you gauge success on social media. All that and so much more coming up right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Computer Business Marketing Show. If you own or work in an IT services business, this is the place to be to learn how to get more clients, keep them happy, and grow your revenue. You can watch, download, and or subscribe to all episodes at computerbusinessmarketing.com. Also, you can catch our live stream on Facebook every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Just be sure to like the Tech Site Builder Facebook page, click the following tab, and then there's a option there where you can select to see first, so that every time we go live with a new episode, it'll pop to the top of your Facebook feed. And that way, while you're looking at baby pictures and cat videos, this video will pop to the top of your feed there, so you can check it out. We love you guys joining us live on Thursdays. You guys are interactive. You ask questions, and that's great. That really adds to the show. So we look forward to seeing you in the live show. Today, I'm really excited to have as our guest here, Stuart Crawford. Now, Stuart Crawford is an MSP marketing consultant, and he works with Ulistic Marketing Agency. It's a marketing agency for managed service providers. And so what we're going to talk about today it's an interesting topic. We're going to talk about how to work with your competitors instead of competing with them. So that's going to be an interesting discussion, and I look forward to hearing Stuart's thoughts on that. So welcome, Stuart. Thanks for being here.
Matthew, thanks for having me. I really appreciate taking some time to invite me onto your show.
Yeah, no problem. So before we jump into that interview, we do, just got some housekeeping things. So first of all, thanks guys for checking out the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. We really appreciate that. And you guys have been leaving some great reviews. I just wanted to read a couple of those really quick. A couple new reviews we got. One says, I love hearing what Matthew is doing. He's my go-to person when dealing with marketing for IT companies, and I would trust Matt with any of my clients. Appreciate that. That's from Innovate Marketing. And then another review comes from our friend Jay Burley. I know if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know Jay. Jay says the show has great content and interesting guests. The host, Matthew Rodella, is friendly and knowledgeable. So far, the show topics have included SEO, marketing videos, newsletters, getting more reviews, social media, and so much more. My advice is have your note-taking app handy, as you will want to remember these ideas to implement them in your business. Thanks, Jay. That's a some great feedback there, and that's a good tip. Also, when you are listening to podcasts, I'm guilty of this as well, but I listen to like business podcasts while I'm driving or while I'm walking the dog, and a lot of times, you hear some great nuggets of information that you want to remember. So I would look into getting a good note-taking app for your phone, so that if you are walking around listening to a podcast, you can pop open that note-taking app like Evernote or something like that really quick, and then type in what you want. So that's a great tip from Jay. Appreciate you guys leaving those reviews in iTunes. If you're listening to this podcast in any kind of podcatcher like iTunes or Stitcher, go ahead and leave a review. Let us know what you think of the podcast, good or bad. I love hearing feedback from you guys, and it helps to make the show better. And that's a win-win for all of us. Great. Let's go ahead and jump into the Facebook group, the Computer Business Marketing Facebook group. This, as you know, if you go into Facebook and search for Computer Business Marketing, you'll find the Computer Business Marketing group. We're getting, new members in there every day, and we love to hear your feedback and see what's going on and your tips and tricks for marketing. And I also try to throw in some conversation starters in there. We always get some valuable information from there. So one of the things I wanted to highlight from the marketing group this week is something that Michael Young said about his local chamber of commerce. So I'm just going to go ahead and read his post. He said, this may not be computer business marketing specific, but I have to share my experience at the local Chamber of Commerce mixer tonight. I have not been very active in the chamber in recent months due to strains of business ownership, but I have been very active in the past. So I showed up tonight. It was a mixer involving multiple local chambers of commerce. I saw a lot of familiar faces. I visited with them, but in addition to that, I was introduced to multiple people who I did not know, who immediately expressed that they knew who I was or that I looked familiar to them already. One random person even came up to me and complimented me on a public appearance I did a couple weeks back. Of course, there were other people that I was introduced to for the first time that I'd never seen and may or may not ever see them again. But after enough incidental meetings, those people grow familiarity and become my friend also. My point of the story is that business networking is a slow burn. It's not a flash in the pan. You show up once, no one cares. And it's probably a waste of your time is what you're thinking. But consistency will make a difference in your sphere of influence in the community. So that's a great little nugget of wisdom from Michael Young, talking about how he had been doing Chamber of Commerce events in the past, hadn't done it in a while, but he was been doing other outreach, doing talks and stuff in his community. And then he went to a Chamber of Commerce mixer, and folks recognized him from different places he's been, and some of those relationships that he's been curating over the years helped out because they started introducing him to other people. And I think that's just a great point about kind of most social type of marketing in general, is that it takes a while to build up that social capital, right? And you got to, spend time getting to know people, not pitching to them, but just getting to know them, getting to know their businesses, getting to know their lives. And then eventually, they might not become your client, but they might get to know you and like you and then start referring people to you. So it's really one of those things that it's worth sticking with. Well, Stuart, what have been your experiences with those kinds of like Chamber of Commerce or business networking events?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Matthew. Is that it is a slow burn. It's nothing that's going to have success overnight. So we were back in my day of running my managed service business out of Western Canada. We were very active in our local Chamber of Commerce to the point where I actually served as an ambassador. And people get to know you in that role. I mean, sure, it was a volunteer type position. Sometimes it took a few evenings a month away from your family, but there was a lot of there was a lot of value to that, and people get to see you. What I really appreciated is that, the networking opportunities were always great, and I could talk more about networking anytime. But what I loved about my involvement with the Chamber of Commerce, not only was all the great stuff that that person commented on, was being an ambassador and volunteering for events. When the mayor of Calgary would speak on the state of the business world in Calgary, which is a big city in Western Canada, I would volunteer to go hang up coats for 20 or 30 minutes, and then you would get invited in for dinner or for the lunch. And I sat down with probably the one person that changed my business life back in the early 2000s. And I met him because I volunteered hanging up coats and got to sit down and have lunch with him. Then I actually went back to my office, did my cold outreach. He responded back in the days when people used to respond to emails. And he responded back and invited me over, and we sat down for 2 hours. And him, the owner of the Calgary Flames, the same story. He was actually speaking at a Chamber of Commerce, and I just commented on how much I enjoyed his speech. I had the audacity to invite him out for a coffee. He said, "Come on over to the arena for a coffee," and I got to know him too. So
nice.
You're right. It is a slow burn, and you have to work it. It's one of those things that you have to work. And Matthew, if I can add just one last thought on that.
Sure.
I was at MSP event many years ago. My good friend Stuart Phelps put it on. He called Spring Training for Business, and there was a speaker there, and I can't remember his name now, but he said most people go to a Chamber of Commerce event with their prospecting hat on, and you really need to go with your networking hat on. And I think that's a mistake that most people do. They go there once to say, you know what, my clients aren't there, or they're just other people trying to sell me. When you should really go in there, okay, who can I hook on to who can introduce me to new people? And that's what the Chamber of Commerce, that's the value the Chamber of Commerce brings, regardless if you're in a big city or a small town America.
Yep. Yeah, that's great advice. And I think you're right. If you just show up to a networking event and just kind of, sit there and just hope for people to come to you or hope for things to happen, you might not have as much success as if you are actively, pursuing those relationships, seeking people out, asking them how you can help them, or just take interest in them, and eventually, just being a nice person. and you can definitely get some. Sounds like you got some great connections out of doing just that. Awesome. Yeah, cool. So that was a great post. Another one I wanted to talk about really quick was I asked a question in the group, what people define as success for their social media marketing efforts. Because I hear folks talking about, hey, I tried this or I tried that and it wasn't successful or it didn't work. And I was just curious to ask, what does that mean when you say it doesn't work or it wasn't successful? So just real quick, some answers we got was, Brian said two things really: increased brand recognition in my local market and messages in my inbox looking to book me. And then he said he didn't really care about likes, so he's looking to extend his brand reach. And I think that's kind of a good thing to look to do in social media. Dave said he looks for engagement. So that can be anything from a like on a post to clicking a link. But it basically, he asked the question, has it continued my relationship with my fan base? So that's again, I think that's a good way to look at it, is continuing a relationship. Maybe, for the clients or people who know from you in other ways, and then they start following you on social media. How do you just continue that relationship with them? That's a good thing to look for in social media. Patrick Balmer said that his idea of success is fans that come back to you and share your posts. So that's another metric to look for, right? Are your posts interesting enough that people are sharing them? And I think that's a great kind of thing to strive for in social media when you're posting for your business on social media. Is what you're writing interesting or helpful enough that people are actually sharing it, and that's going to help get your name out there in front of new people that may not have heard you before. So I think those are all great ways to define success with social media. I think probably the one way you wouldn't want to define success in social media is how many direct sales is it getting me? Because number one, that's hard to track, and number two, really, it might not happen directly, where you write a Facebook post and then someone says, oh, hey, let me hire this guy directly because of the Facebook post. It can happen, but that's rare. I think it's mostly there to continue relationships, to deepen relationships, to keep clients in contact with you, to keep top of mind with the clients, and then to get that engagement and that sharing so that you can get in front of other people. What do you think, Stuart? What would be your idea of success with social media?
So all those points that you raised, Matthew, are totally valid. The other one area I would kind of expand on is what we were talking about prior to this was when we looked at the Chamber of Commerce discussion. I look at social media as something to do with people that I meet face to face, and it's an activity that I use between face to face meetings. So it complements everything that you do. And you're right, nobody has gone up. Nobody's ever came to me and said, I got a new client because I put a Facebook post up that I'm taking break fix calls tonight, and if anybody has a computer problem, call me. I don't know if anybody who ever got any business from that. I'd love to be proven wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen that. But what ultimately, we're all in business to make money, for revenue and profitability, and some people do that through many different avenues. Some do it the old hardcore sales way. Some do it through humanitarian activity. But at the end of the day, you have to run a profitable business. And I look at all of our marketing, not only just social media, but everything is, how many new opportunities am I presented with? And you're right. It may come indirectly. I've had conversations with clients where, we've posted something on their Facebook page about Cisco and a Cisco, enhancement to a Cisco firewall, and that just tweaks somebody's memory to give them a call and talk about something different.
Right.
So, it's visibility is super, super important, but you can't go on there and just constantly pimp your stuff out there, because you're gonna turn people off faster than it's hard enough to get people to follow an IT computer services company on social media. You don't want to turn those few valuable contacts away.
Turn them off. Yep. Cool. Yeah, great stuff to think about. And I think, it's still, for a lot of folks, it's still a relatively new frontier, and especially for business. And it's hard to figure out, I'm doing all this stuff, but is it really working? And I think just keeping in mind, providing value and just having a way for you to be continually out there. So that means, be consistent, keep posting and keep putting helpful stuff out there. And you might not see engagement right away. It takes a while, just like anything. Slow burn has been kind of the key word, the magical word of the.
You ever heard of a gentleman by the name of Chris Brogan?
Yes.
Chris taught me many years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, the 30-60-30 principle. So spend 30 minutes a day reading what's going on social media. 60 minutes was the big piece, engaging with other people. So liking other people's stuff, sharing other people's stuff, and then spend the last 30 minutes publishing your own stuff. Nice. So it's all about engagement. You people aren't going to engage with you unless you go out and engage with them.
Great. I love it. Yep. Great tip. Cool. So, if you want to get these tips and a whole lot more, there's so many posts that I could spend an entire podcast episode just talking about things that have come up in the Facebook group. So head on over there, just search for Computer Business Marketing in Facebook. You'll find the group there. We got a couple super easy questions you have to answer in order to join, just to make sure you're not a spammer, or, just to make sure you're not just some random person. We're just looking for, computer business owners or folks who have IT services business or work in the IT industry in that group. We'd love to have you, and we'd love to talk marketing. All right, we've got a great interview here talking about how to leverage your competition. But first, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is TechSite Builder. TechSite Builder is a fully hosted website builder for computer business owners. So if you have a website that's starting to look old or outdated, or you're having problems keeping it updated, or you just don't like the way it's performing, maybe it's not getting you leads, or it's not, at the top of the Google search results, that might mean you need a website overhaul. So if you do, take a look at TechSite Builder. I built TechSite Builder to, number one, make it super easy for you to log in, get, fill out some of your information about your business, and then bam, you have a nice, clean, professional looking website ready to go. From there, there's lots of things you can do to make it SEO optimized, or I guess that's a double meaning, SEO'd, so that it's search engine optimized. We have some videos to help you figure out how to do that. And then there's, it's built to be optimized for search engines already. And then you can go in and kind of do some stuff with keywords and other things to take it to the next level. We make sure it's super fast. And we also make sure that it's effective. So we highlight your contact information. And I think that's really important if you run a IT services business, is if someone's visiting your website, they need to be able to contact you very easily. So, phone number, address, social media, all those different things, a contact form, we make it very easy for you to implement that on your website. And then, of course, from there, we have things like testimonials that you can put up there, a map of your business location you can put up there, lots of awesome looking images that you can add to your website. So it's really just kind of a one-stop shop, so you don't have to worry about the headache of, getting your hosting, finding a WordPress theme to put together, then downloading stock images, then writing the content and all that stuff. We take care of that for you so that you can have an awesome website for your computer business. So check it out. Go to techsitebuilder.com and get a new website for your computer business. All right. So now the time we've all been waiting for. This is our interview here with Stuart Crawford. He, again, is an MSP marketing consultant with Ulistic. And Ulistic is a marketing agency for managed service providers. So instead of, me yammering on about Stuart, I'll let Stuart, you can go ahead and kind of give us the rundown of a little bit of your background, where you come from, and how you ended up where you are now as a MSP marketing consultant.
Thanks, Matthew, and good evening, everyone. And I really appreciate the opportunity to come on this evening and talk to you. My background is I'm a technician. I have my MCSE, my CNE, my Cisco certifications. Gee, Matthew, I think I'm even certified in Citrix MetaFrame 1.8.
Wow.
But that's all good stuff. And I built a very good career being a technician. And, I'm going to skip through a lot of it, but, I retired from the Canadian military in 1997 after 9 years of service in the military. I got my IT training in the military, Banyan Vines, Windows 3.1. So I've been at this game for a little while now. Losing my hair, so I definitely got some experience. I worked for a number of different consulting firms, and eventually, in 2001, I met up with two great guys, Tony Ma and Rob Hay. We started a company called IT Matters in 2001. We grew that company to $5.5 million in annual net sales, 50% of it being MRR and 50% being products and services and software. And I had the gift in 2008 to sell my share of the company to my partners. And then they, in turn, sold the company to E.S. Williams in 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. But in that experience of what I realized during that the three of us, we were all technicians, and that would really only take us so far. And in 2004, I became a marketer, and I changed our company from being a technical company to a marketing and sales company that marketed and sold IT services.
Interesting, yeah.
And it really, because I went and saw Harv Eker speak and a few other guys at a conference in Orange County, California in 2004, and it just awoke in me. And then I was following those guys. I was following the Robin Robbins of the world. I was following a lot of people. I was never buying anything from them. I was just kind of gathering all their knowledge,
stalking
them a little bit. But I learned. Bob Bird became a very good friend of me. Bob wrote books called The Go Giver and Endless Referrals. And I took all those lessons I learned and put them into practice in 2004. I joined HTG that year and became a member of Heartland Tech Group's Tech Select program, and really started understanding peers. And this kind of gets into what we're talking about today, about working with competitors. And we built that company to $5.5 million. And then I started. I was lucky enough to get out of it in 2008. It was time, for me to bow out. I started Ulistic in 2010 with a partner to start a small business marketing agency. Had no desire to go back into IT at all. I was burnt out of IT. Didn't want to see another server, switch, router at all. I was done. And all my IT friends started calling me, "Hey, Stuart, can you do what you did for IT Matters for me?" We picked up one client, 2, 3, and 4, and now we're 8 years into it and still doing the same thing.
Nice.
So we're very fortunate, very blessed to have some great clients that have been with me for a number of years. And I was listening to your talk there, Matthew, and said, you know what, this is exactly what you and I are like. We're two. Some would look at us and say we're competitors. We build websites, although we don't do it the same as you. We have a different methodology, but I'm not saying any way is right or wrong. It's just different. And there's opportunities there because we may get opportunities that don't fit our model that may fit your model perfectly, and vice versa. So that we're a great reference point for what we're talking about tonight. Right?
Yeah. So
guys doing probably the same thing to a certain degree, sharing information with each other for the greater good of the community.
Yeah, and I think that's a great segue into our topic, which is how to leverage your competition and not look at them as your competition, or look for ways to partner with your competition when it comes to marketing your computer business and just providing different services. So this was a topic that you kind of pitched to me as something that you thought would be good for the show. So why don't you just kind of get started with what your thoughts are and maybe some experiences you've had with how working with competition can be beneficial.
So yeah, good topic. Actually, it's funny. I have a Facebook group similar to yours. I think it's IT and MSP marketing, whatever. It's like if you Google it on Facebook, you'll find it. But this actual question came up today in our Facebook group. It says, "How do you work with competitors?" And I reply back, "Watch tonight at 7:00," because I'll share some experience with you. So, but I was much like everybody else on this call. At one time, I was obsessed with what our competitors were doing. I was concerned. I was trying to mimic them. I was trying to do everything to stay, keep up with the Joneses type mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, these guys got Cisco, so I got to get Cisco. These guys got Microsoft, I got to get this Microsoft certification. And it ended up just killing me, with my sanity. I was so obsessed with it. And a friend of mine took me aside and said, "Stuart, you know what? Stop worrying about your competitors. Go out there and partner with them." So I met a few IT companies. Again, some of them are still clients of mine today and friends of mine today that I do their website for, manage their web presence and stuff like that, similar to what you do. And they call what actually how it started is a funny story. Tony Watts, a good friend of mine, him and I were bidding on a job together. I can't remember the client, but he ended up winning the business. The person selected his company. And instead of me getting all bitter about it, I said to the guy, I said, "You know what? You made a really good decision. Tony's a stand-up guy. He'll take good care of you." And that person really, he shared that information with Tony, and Tony actually called me, right? He said, "Hey, thanks for doing that." And something happened, and Tony lost the business a few months later, and the guy called me back. So if I would have badmouthed Tony, maybe I wouldn't have got that phone call, first off.
Right.
But Tony helped me on a lot of other things too. We actually went into another deal where he was the incumbent IT provider, and this guy called another company, and he called me. And this guy, you ever have those deals, Matthew, where you think, there's something stinks about this guy, right? I just don't trust him.
Yep.
Well, I called Tony up on the phone. I said, "Tony, one of your clients called me, wants me to give him a quote for services. Tell me a little about this guy, right?" He says, "If you tell me not to go after it, I respect you and I won't go after it." Because we had that mutual trust with each other that we wouldn't go after each other's business unless we had the okay from the other guy to do it. And then Tony said, "You know what? You know what you should do? You should run away really fast. I'm suing this guy.
Oh.
He lost a bunch of data, didn't take his backup recommendation, and it got ugly." And I said, "Red flag, I'm leaving. I'm backing out." I called the guy next day and said, "Sorry, I can't do any work for you." Because Tony and I had that relationship. Now, if we didn't have that relationship, he would have said, "Yeah, they're a great company. Go work with them," right? Knowing the whole time that that they were shysters and didn't want to work with them. So, that's what happens when you create really good relationships with your competitor. Mike Parasato, who ran CPU Technologies in Calgary, I got him a job with one of my clients now because he sold his business. And he went to work for one of my clients. We do a lot of stuff happens even today that happened 10, 15 years ago. But what we realized was there was a lot of business in Western Canada, and there was no way that I can service everybody.
Right.
Nor could I hire people to do the work. Like, so for example, Cisco firewalls were not my strength. But Mike had a Cisco firewall specialist on staff. So I would outsource the Cisco consulting to Mike's company because I didn't want to go. I didn't have enough work to keep a Cisco guy busy 8 hours a day, but I had enough work to keep Mike's guy busy, 4 or 5 hours a month, which helped him keep him busy 8 hours a day, and vice versa. We had a lot of experience in the oil and gas industry, so a lot of our friends would call us and say, "Hey, what do you know about this application in the oil and gas industry? Can you come and have a look at it for us?" and give us some recommendations. So we started sharing a lot of business opportunities back and forth. Keep in mind, there were still a lot of guys out there who kept their cards really close to their chest and wouldn't let anybody in, and that's fine. Those guys were not part of our little network. But
Right.
it really, I think I told you this earlier, Matthew. Is we coined the phrase "co-op-etition," right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were competitors, and I still wasn't going to tell you my trade secrets. Which, by the way, we're IT companies. We don't have any trade secrets. But because we all set up Windows servers pretty much the same way. We set up Office 365 these days the same way.
Yep.
It was great to have those guys on my corner and be there for me when I needed them.
Yeah. For me, one of the things that I've found that's really helped, the whole competition thing not be an issue is to kind of focus in a little more on some kind of niche, whether it's, an industry niche that you specialize in servicing, like you mentioned, oil and gas, or, it can be, dentists or doctors, or, some kind of service that has a particular type of software they use that takes a while to get to learn. Specialize in that, or specialize in a service type, like, you can be the go-to person on data recovery, or you can be the go-to virus removal person. Get really good at one thing. And that makes it so much easier to form these partnerships, because then, you end up being the expert at that one thing, and then everyone's going to refer their problem issues to you because they know you can take care of it. And then, everyone who needs kind of more general support, you can, have relationships with those guys and refer them off to those guys, and have kind of that symbiotic relationship without worrying about stepping on anybody's toes.
That's correct. And, the other thing that we realized well into this co-opetition group that we call ourselves was that, if we were all working together, we either shook on it and said, may the best man win, or best woman win, in the ratio was, and we all went in there with our best effort, but there was no bitterness at the end, right? And, you're bang on that, industry expertise, knowledge, there's just so much opportunity out there. The ones that have this what's the word I'm looking for? Scarcity type of approach.
Yep.
They don't end up winning at the end. They kind of struggle, and I don't want to say lose, because I hate using that word lose, but they struggle to get ahead.
Yep.
And the ones that go in there with the abundance attitude, like I say, there's enough IT services business out there to keep me, you, and 50 other guys, right?
So, thanks. Okay, so now what I can hear some of my listeners saying this, yelling this at the computer maybe, is, I know a lot of these guys might live in smaller areas or smaller towns where they feel like they're kind of fighting for every client they can get, because the pool of clients is not as big. What would you say to folks in that situation?
Well, that comes back to an old friend of mine, Carl Bryan, told me this, that, Stuart, you're going to make more money and be more successful trying to be different than trying to being different than trying to be better, right? So for those guys in the small community, find out what makes you different. Maybe you are the agricultural computer service person, right? Or you have an expertise in a certain type of technology. Maybe it's Dell, HP, Lenovo. Pick your poison, right? And try not to be the generals where you're going against each other. And maybe, just maybe, if you all realize that there's not enough business to go around, isn't it better to have two heads? Isn't two heads smarter than one? How about you ever thought about joining forces and becoming one organization instead of trying to be two organizations and get a smaller piece of a bigger pie?
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I like that approach. That's something I'm sure probably a lot of folks haven't thought about, but that's a good point.
Matthew, you may have a skill in something, and this is the first time you and I have ever spoke, but I may, as we develop our friendship and our relationship here, I may realize that you have a unique skill set that I need, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can elect to partner with you, call you up and say, hey, why don't you join the Ulistic family, right? And bring your skill set into our family, or we can, or there's another option, which is full acquisition, which is not the partnership type of thing, but
right.
there might be opportunity for us to work closer together. And the same thing happens in the IT service business, that you may have a real good strength at sales, right? and you need technicians, or you might be a great technician and you need a salesperson, right?
Right.
Again, same thing. Join forces and bring and bring it together. And I think I could picture the guy who's screaming at the computer right now.
Yes. Yeah, we've all talked to guys like that, and they're out there, and they're trying to get their business off the ground or grow their business in a small town, and they're always looking for ways to do that. And I think that's some great tips. Also, it's worth maybe exploring doing remote services where you can kind of branch out of your local area.
Because I have let's perfect example. So Ulistic is in Fort Erie, Ontario, Canada, a town of 30,000 people. We're in Sebring, Florida, which is a town of 30,000 people. I will probably struggle if I decided to sell advertising services and marketing services to the painters, roofers, and those guys at either location, right?
Right.
Especially when Highlands County is the 5th poorest county in the United States where I live, right? But you know what? I've decided to specialize in IT service organizations. So now the world is my market. We have clients in Australia, England, just signed one up in Scotland yesterday. So we have clients globally. I'm not relying on the small population in Fort Erie. And the same thing could be in in the computer service business. I have clients that do nothing but healthcare, and New England is where they are. But they have clients in Las Vegas, San Francisco, Seattle, because they're the experts in healthcare. And I think there's one guy, I don't know if he's a member of your group or my group, but he travels all over. He's based in Wisconsin. He travels all over the place. I still get to figure out what his specialty is.
Right.
But he's all over. Every time I see him, he's checking in at a different airport, right?
Nice.
But, he's elected to, I'm assuming, that he has a specialty in a certain industry.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you become in demand, and then you can travel around like that because there's not a lot of folks doing what you're doing if you're a special,
And the other cool thing about that, Matthew, is more dollars.
Right.
Yep. You're in demand, you can start charging more. You're not fighting it out for $25 an hour to do virus removal anymore.
Exactly. Now, Dave, in the Facebook video, made a good point. He said the best thing about working with a competitor is you've got someone covering your back when you're on vacation, sick or otherwise. That's another great way to think about it.
You have that agreement in place that says you're not going to go and steal my business, because you got to have agreements. Agreements are like fences. They make great neighbors, great relationships, right? So you got to have those agreements in place that say, here are the rules that we're going to play by. It could be a handshake, as long as it's mutually understood, or it could be written out on a formal legal thing. It's whatever you want to do. My recommendation is keep it simple.
Yep.
Just make sure everybody has a firm understanding what the rules are. And, when I'll cover for you and I won't poach your clients, you'll cover for me and you won't poach my clients.
Right.
But that's that dating phase. You might realize that, we're really good together.
Yep. Nice. And Dave asked a question: should computer repair business owners like each other's Facebook pages? I guess, in groups and stuff, every now and then you'll say, hey, here's my Facebook page, like it, and I'll like yours, and let's go back and forth. I don't see a problem with that, really.
I mean, I have some people that get bent out of shape when they see a competitor on their newsletter list. Okay, well, you're writing about crack. Not the drug, the right?
Yep.
They're getting the same information from Sonicwell, ZDNet, whatever information. They're getting the same information you are, right?
Yeah. I would expect my competition to, be on my list, so that, because you just want to know what's going on and what other people are doing. And so that might be a good opportunity to reach out to that competitor saying, hey, I noticed you're on my newsletter list. What did you think of my last newsletter I sent out? I'm open to any tips or whatever. That'd be a great kind of conversation starter.
What happens there, Matthew? You scare the heck out of them because they weren't expecting that phone call, right?
Yeah.
Whoa, what are you asking my opinion for? Like, you're a competitor of mine, right? Yeah. Some people just don't know how to take that, right? And they get skittish that way.
Yeah. So good. So this has been some great info, and I think some good insights. Before we wrap up, I had a question. So say you're just getting started, or you've been running your business and you haven't really been reaching out to competitors. How do you get started? Like, how do you go seeking out your competitors, and how do you know which ones are good to befriend, and how do you kind of get that started?
It goes back to a conversation we had about 30 minutes ago. The Chamber of Commerce is a great place for that. You can go and meet other people there in a social setting, see what they're like, see how they interact with people, watch them, maybe just study them from the far before you go approach them, and see what they're like. And if they're great people to go and approach, then go and have a conversation with them. And there's, it's the old thing. You want to walk before, want to crawl, walk, and then run, right? So you may just want to, maybe just before you do anything and share any client lists or trade secrets or whatever, just have a few, see what they're like in a social setting. Go out for coffee. Maybe the spouses can join for dinner and get to know each other that way. And then follow, maybe like them on their social media and see what kind of stuff they're doing. Just to see, just to see what they're like personally. And then if you get a good comfort, if you got to trust your gut, right? That's the I always say, think with your gut first, then your brain. If you get a good feeling in your gut that this person's good, or if you get a bad feeling, well, my wife always tells me, trust my gut because it's often right. And she says, I don't get a good feeling off this guy, usually she's right.
Yeah.
And that's just get to know them socially first. I love to play golf, right? So I used to take people golfing all the time. And I can tell the personality of a person just how they act on the golf course, right? How they walk on the green. When I'm not looking, are they kicking their ball with their foot and then marking down a 5 when they really took a 6? I get to see what type of person they are that way. And if they're great and they're stand-up people that way, chances are in business they're going to be exactly that same way.
Interesting. Yep. Awesome. Great. So before we wrap up here, why don't you tell folks a little bit about Ulistic and what you guys do there and the type of services you provide?
Well, so we never even rehearsed this, so hopefully I don't step on your toes too much. But we are a full marketing agency, so we charge anywhere up from $3,000 a month to $5,000 a month for full services. But I'm going to assume that that's reserved for some very small percentage of the client base out there. I think what works really good with Tech Site Builder and a few other solutions that I heard you mention, Matthew, is our Marketing in a Box. So we provide a service called Marketing in a Box. It's $97 a month. You can sign up for it. It's month to month. There's no long-term commitments. And what I do in there is I put a bunch of marketing templates like ebooks, landing page text. So if they got a Tech Site Builder site, they can put the landing page text on there. It's all written to convert for different campaigns, sales letters, postcards, e-newsletters, print newsletters, marketing videos, so to complement what you guys do. We're actually starting in January doing webinars as a service. So for that same $97, we're going to have a webinar in there that you can actually just play, right? Nice. Or upload it to YouTube and it's your webinar, right? Just because we're ending at the beginning and the end and it's yours, right? It's going to have full supporting text. We actually recorded it today. It's on Microsoft Outlook. It was an hour and 10 minutes long, so it was a long webinar.
Nice.
But we went into a lot of tips and tricks on how to, and 42 leads today generated from that one webinar. For we had it blasting live for about 18 of our clients. 42 leads all combined. Because people just asking questions about Outlook. Yep. And so
that's great.
That kind of stuff. So $97 a month. If people want to sign up, it's really easy. Ulistic.com/box. BOX.
Nice.
They'll take them to a PayPal page. Yeah, really high tech. Again, it's month to month. And that's perfect. And we do websites and marketing websites for people too. And we do SEO. We do all the same stuff that you mentioned. And we also design email campaigns and social media management, stuff like that. So we're really that solution for those managed service companies who know it's important to market but don't have the time to do it themselves. They're too busy doing other things.
Right.
A lot of that heavy load off their plate. Or work together with people like yourselves and Prontos and Vertical Actions of the world. If they have a website with them, the Marketing in a Box is the perfect solution, kind of just bolts on to it. And, it's works
I think that's a great complement to Tech Site Builder or any other thing you got going on with your website. And that's super important because a lot of those that content generation is really the stumbling block with a lot of folks, and getting out there with different marketing, getting a lead funnel set up on their website, or getting, social media presence, or getting videos out there. It's just creating all that content.
Newsletter, right?
Yeah, just a simple newsletter. I mean, it's just even just thinking about creating all this stuff is overwhelming, and people just say, forget about it, I'm just going to fix computers. And so I think it's great to have, something all wrapped up in a nice marketing in a box.
So Matthew, just for all your listeners on here, and my wife will probably shoot me for doing this, because I usually run everything by her first. But, since it's the end of October and the new one's coming out next week, if somebody signs up and mentions that they watch this on your program, we'll give them October and November's for the price of November's.
Oh, awesome.
So they get a free month.
There you go. That's worth checking out just by itself. So awesome, guys. So check that out. Head over to ulistic.com or ulistic.com/box. And then when you sign up, let them know that you heard about this on the Computer Business Marketing Show, and you'll get that sweet deal. Awesome. Stuart, well, hey, it's been a pleasure. I learned a lot, and I think hopefully this inspires folks to kind of get outside of their bubble and to start talking and interacting with the other IT service businesses in their area. And I think, most of the time it's going to end up being a great thing and end up benefiting you and your business as well. I'm a big believer in that as well.
This exactly is just what we talked about. Like, we never even realized what we had complementary products to each other until we actually talked about it. So again, it's the power of working with your competitors is, don't look at them as the evil stepsister. Look at them as a friend, a colleague, a trusted companion. We've even had meetings where we had 3 or 4 of the competitors in the room and shared ideas with each other.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of good to come out of it.
Awesome. Great. So thanks again for being a guest. And thank you guys for listening to this episode or watching to this episode of the Computer Business Marketing Show. Let's keep the conversation going, guys. So head on over to computerbusinessmarketing.com and let us know what you think in the comments under the show notes. On the show notes, we'll have links to everything we've talked about on the episode. So you can check that out as well. And leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know your opinion, stories, good or bad, about working with your competition. And then again, don't forget about the Facebook group, Computer Business Marketing. On Facebook, request access, jump in, hang out with all of us. We'd love to see you there. Also, if you listen to the show in iTunes or Stitcher, be sure to leave us a review. We love to hear your feedback, and every comment does help so that the podcast can be found by others, and then we can find other cool guests like Stuart to have on, and it's a win-win for all of us. Finally, don't forget to check out our sponsor, Tech Site Builder. Thanks again for listening to the Computer Business Marketing Show. My name is Matthew Rodella, saying here's to your success.